Happy New Year! And welcome back to another video! This is gonna be another ScrawlrBox. It took me a very long time to film and do and all that stuff, and it is what it is. So this was the July 2023 box, which is number 95. It's really annoying that they started doing the numbers instead of putting the month on there, because I don't know. First of all, I got accustomed to it, and I like knowing which month it was. This is a collaboration between ScrawlrBox and Viviva colors, and I've really wanted to try some of the Viviva color palettes. Viviva. Yeah, now I got the chance to do that. So they come in this cork kind of palette thing, which is, I guess, environmentally friendly. I don't know about the cover there. I think maybe, I don't want to speak on it because I don't know. I think they pride themselves in that they are more environmentally friendly. I'm not really a paper connoisseur, especially not watercolor paper. I prefer, though, to use hot pressed watercolor paper, even though the textured cold press watercolor paper can be fun as well. As you can see here, it has a lot of texture, and yeah, it's pretty thick enough. Yeah, not too much going on in this box. I mean, the things that you do get are very nice. I really like the angled brush that followed. They allow you to get broad strokes, but also add some details with the tip. And the prompt was Quest. They started putting it in there, as you can see, as they say. I think that's neat. I always thought it was such a waste of paper to have it separate from the zine. So, I like that. So first I swatched the paper that came with the watercolor set, because it was quite different from the watercolor paper that they got us. So this paper that came with the watercolor set has a much more smooth, like a slippery surface, but it's still textured. It's strange. It's really strange. And it did react to the watercolors differently than the watercolor paper, because the watercolor paper, it just sucks the water in, you know? Just. But this paper, the water was kind of just hanging out on top for a while. Now this is not something that I love, putting QR codes to the website so you can see the supplies. Why couldn't you put that in there as well as the prompt? I don't want to have to get my phone and start surfing the web. I mean, I could have just done that on my own. I don't need the QR code for that. So I hate when companies do that, but that's just a pet peeve of mine, I guess. You shouldn't have to have a phone to have the whole experience, is what I'm trying to say. Now look at these beautiful colors. They're so vibrant, and the texture on the paper gives it such a, it makes it come alive, you know? And I'm really impressed. I just suck so much at watercolors. I just wish I was better at it and I could do these colors justice. It's just that with my style, I like to do layers. I like to build up layers, and you can definitely do that with watercolors. It's just that I'm not too fond of that aesthetic. And yeah, I just don't like how my art turns out with watercolors. So I guess I need to work on that. Try to find a different style to use and work with when it comes to watercolors, because I really like it when it's simpler and it's not that layer heavy. Of course, when I say layer heavy, I mean you can pre-mix the colors, of course, before you add it on to the piece. I just mean I like to layer it on the paper slash canvas slash wooden panel, you name it. So that's something I am going to work on in the future. So I decided to use this old drawing of mine from a million years ago. I can't remember. First I drew the sketch, and then a few years later I was gonna paint over it digitally, and I just never got that far. All I have is that sketch. I decided to recreate it here, and I decided to use the A5 paper as a challenge to myself in doing smaller and more details. Because when I do these small A5 pieces, I prefer keeping it less detailed. It's too hard, man. It's too small. So this was a challenge to myself, and I could have done better, for sure. I did do some mistakes, but it was a very nice experience, learning experience, and also the colors, or the Viviva watercolors were fun, and I liked the color spectrum that they gave us. So for these light strips coming up from the ground through the islands, I decided to use some masking fluid. I have a lot of masking fluid, so the reason I don't use it all up is because, well, I don't use watercolors that often, and also it always goes wrong. It doesn't matter which one I use, it always rips the paper. So, and this stick was just really nice for like the small space. I did mess it up, but that's fine. It doesn't dry immediately. I just cleaned it all up and kept going. So I did read up on it. They say that, oh, you shouldn't leave it on for too long, but you should leave it, but it has to be left on long enough. I thought a thicker layer would be better, but then they said that a thin layer is better. I don't know. And also they say you shouldn't have the bubbles, but the thing is, this is a bubble that you squeeze out of, so there's bound to be bubbles. Anyways, this is one of the better masking fluids that I have. I did watch the masking fluid testing video that Casey Golden did, and I actually chose just her top picks from each category, I think. Or it turns out that I had one of the worst ones, which is why, of course, my experience was bad. I only had tried that one type, and this one, the Schminke one, is pretty good. Pretty good. But I think maybe in the future I'll do tape more. I see a lot of watercolorists are using masking tape instead. Yeah, I think maybe I'll give that a shot. At least for the straight things, like these straight light things. I don't know what to call them really. Rays? Life force. Now for this sky here, I really like the gradient that I achieved, but it's way too pastel. That's probably just my inexperience with watercolor, and I didn't use enough I used too much water in the bowl, I think, when I mixed it, because I was afraid of it not giving a good gradient. Lesson learned. It does give a pretty good coverage though, these watercolors. You can get a pretty decent opacity as well. Obviously not as much as gouache would do, but it's covers pretty well. You do have to do a few layers if you mix it out with a lot of water, of course, but I'm impressed again. Yeah, so the lighting is all over the place. I didn't really plan it out well enough, but at least I've said it. It's all over the place. If you're curious about what I was putting on the paper, it's just salt. That's a common watercolor technique, to use salt to create texture. For some reason it just didn't do much on my piece here, but maybe it wasn't wet enough, or I didn't have enough water, I'm not sure. I do try again later. So here I'm taking off the masking fluid. I decided to buy one of these masking fluid removers because I've been using silicone tools to remove it, and it's just been so tedious. This tool was definitely worth the money. But as you can see here, tore off some of her hair. Also tore off a little bit on one of the rays by the water. But other than that, actually smooth. Super smooth. It just turned out super smooth. So I'm actually happy with that.
I hope that it will help you to do a better job.
So this is how the watercolors have dried. These are some really thin pans. Yeah, as you can see, they're cracking, they're bending. If I want to have this flat in my purse or whatever, I would have to push it down and that cracks them even more. I don't know how I feel about that, because this is supposed to be a thing you can travel with. Travel supplies, and if they fall out, it's not very safe. But yeah, that's the only criticism I have. I wouldn't know how to solve it, so don't look at me. So here I'm using a different masking liquid and applying it with one of my silicone tools. I decided to do a very thin layer because at this point I had read up on it. And this one's also supposed to be really good, but I think I left it on for way too long. I don't know, I just put it on and just didn't feel like working on this for a really long time. So I never removed it. I should have removed it. So here we are, as you can see, as I'm trying to remove this masking fluid. It's just hating me. Even though I had a really thin layer. It's a shame. Her whole silhouette kind of just ripped off all the paper. But there's a silver lining, Because later, when I go into Painter, the ripped paper actually creates some texture that is making the watercolor act in strange ways, which is fun. It's giving a really weird effect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it was fun to see. As you can see here, like how the hair hadn't dried completely, but the way that the colors blend is so interesting. It gives such a nice, fun blending. I could have used this for effect, but I didn't do it for the most part. And I wasn't patient enough. I just wanted to paint her and get it over with. But for some reason, the watercolors took really long to dry on the ripped paper. I guess the top coat of the paper does a lot for it. I don't know if you can tell, but the yellow is just... Look at that. That's fun. I decided to leave it. I could have just painted over it when it was completely dry, but I decided to leave it because it was a fun effect. And another thing that I didn't like is that the pen that they included in the box was just a really, really thick pen. I haven't used it yet, but I do use it because I feel like I have to use it. It was too thick for this piece, and I fucked it up a little bit. And I hate myself for that, but there's nothing I can do about that now. It's not too bad. I mean, it's fine. I did take some liberties. I used some supplies that wasn't in the box. I usually do that. I just really needed some extra dimension. Yes, well, as you can see here, I had a bad accident with my finger, so I got a couple of stitches. Luckily though, all that was left was the colored pencil stage. Even though it gave me terrible cramps, because I'm not used to using the long finger to draw, I got through it kind of just fine. But it wasn't super easy, for sure. I couldn't have drawn or done anything precise. Even writing still hurts for some reason. The skin is just really thin still, and it's just numb. I still don't have feeling in the fingertip. It's like when your leg falls asleep and it starts to wake up again. It's that kind of numb. Really uncomfortable and really weird, and it hurts extra when I hit it on things. And I do have a big scar. I can't use my fingerprint anymore on my phone. I had to change it to another finger. Little things can mess up a lot, for sure. I really wanted to get a sort of glowing effect on these rays, so I decided to use the colored pencil for that. The white pens and brush pens and that, it wouldn't have given the same effect, at least not that I could achieve with that finger. With the colored pencil, it just made them like come more alive. It was made them more vibrating, sort of. It was fun. Made them come alive, for sure. So yeah, this was definitely a fun little project. I knew going into this idea that it would take a lot longer than usual, that I usually use on these videos, on these boxes. I usually go for a little bit simpler things, or I'll do like several simpler things. This one I knew would take a while, and it did. I was correct in that. I'm pretty satisfied with the result, even though I don't love it. I also feel like a lot of the sketch got lost for some reason. But, you know, that's usually how it goes anyway. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and Happy New Year! It's the first video of 2024. Toodaloos!